Good morning, everybody. Glad we have a nice crowd here, a tremendous Medicarians 2025, great record turnout, and a fantastic opportunity to have a discussion with you today about the coming sea change in the demographic, economic, and political landscape of this country over the next 5 years. In 2030, we're going to see all baby boomers having crossed the threshold to the age of 65, and the first Gen Xers start turning 65. So we're really coming into a whole new era of retirement and financial planning, healthcare needs, what technology is going to drive over these next 5 years to land at that point in 2030. And it's going to create many opportunities and also challenges for agents and advisors. Now, in partnership with Medicarians, my company, Retirement Genius, we did a study that was released in partnership here at the meeting with Medicarians called Financial Security 2030. And over the course of this session, and then following up in breakout sessions, we're gonna have right off of this meeting back to back, we're gonna explore those themes, those challenges, those opportunities. And so, kicking things off, I want to turn to our panelists. We have a perspective with these two gentlemen of carrier and producer and production. And I'll start, Dennis, by asking you, from the carrier perspective, how are you preparing for these challenges, these opportunities, what's coming now and into the future?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. First, pleasure to be here. It's my first time at Medicarians. I feel like I'm learning a lot. As I talk today, maybe I'll frame my comments. I'm in the long-term care side of the business, so all the trends and demographics are the same as what you're facing, but some of my comments will maybe come from that side, so I'll share that. When you look at change, I sometimes think of the baby boomers like they are 65. They've been coming for a while. They didn't just show up, so some things are gonna remain the same, and I think that's one frame as we go into this. And from a personal belief perspective and even how we approach the market as a carrier, I'm in this business 34 years. One of my fundamental beliefs is distribution is still key to how we take these products and everything we do to the market. That's absolutely imperative. And so that's important as I set that, as I think about how we look forward. I'll maybe start a little bit from a product perspective. And again, I'm in the long-term care side. So I would say one of the things that I think is really important is that we're putting products out there that people can believe in. There's a lot of history, some of you may know, around the long-term care side, but from a philosophical perspective, these are products that you put in your clients' hands and they're gonna hold on to them for 10, 20, 30 years, and realistically, most of us aren't gonna be here when they need them. So do the products do what they say they're gonna do? Are they trusted that way? And will they do what the clients need them to do and want them to do? And that's really important. So maybe I'll share one thing on that as a perspective, and this will be a bit of a takeaway too, is because of the history of long-term care, I think there's a lot of people who talk about the price changes and rate increases you've seen, and certainly that's still going on to some extent. I think what I would offer is that the products that are out there in the market today, new products that are being sold, number one, there's hybrid products which are fully guaranteed, take off some of those concerns. But even the traditional products that are available, there's a broader range of solutions out there in terms of coverage and price points, and they're much more robustly priced in the past. So the two things I would say is your clients can rely on those products. They can trust those products more than in the past. And then the next part is, what does the product do? Chris, one of the things you highlighted in your paper, and we've all heard it today in numerous places, is this desire for care in the home, care in place. And we know there's a huge population coming. There's more and more claims coming. And we see then a dearth of supply on the licensed caregiver side, which leads to high demand for informal care. So whether that's spouse, friends, family members, whatever that is, taking care of people. And so you're seeing products shift towards providing types of benefits, whether it's indemnification or cash forms, to allow people to have informal caregiving going on. They can stay in their home and they can have people who they love or care about them help them with that. So that's one trend I think is pretty prevalent. But if you look ahead, we've also heard a lot about caregivers today in different contexts. Over half of the challenge here is with the caregiver. So giving them cash is great, especially if they're leaving a job or taking time out to take care of someone they love. but like cash doesn't help you move your mom or dad off the toilet. Sorry to be blunt, but that's kind of what this works, right? It doesn't help you. So one of the things you're seeing too, and we focused on in some of our research, is adding a caregiver support benefit. So at the point of claim, at that moment of truth, what are you doing to help people navigate that situation? So I call it like a wedding planner. In a sense, it's not quite as glamorous, but if you do it right, if you get it right the first time, you only get married once. And it's good to have someone to help you navigate who does it every day. That's the same kind of thing when you get into the caregiving situation. Most of us don't encounter it. We don't know what to do. We want to do it right. So is there someone there to help along the way? So that's something that we're seeing and trying to focusing on, is not just the product and the price, because that's really easy to try to get cheaper price, but how do you actually do it, and what does it do in that moment of truth for the client? I think that's really important and a focus that we have.
Yeah, and so John, having spent decades working with families, helping them prepare for their financial and retirement security, what do you see as the priorities of the consumer today and as it continues to evolve into that period over the next 5 years?
Well, the key thing is, as we all know, as we age, as we go into different stages of life, priorities change. When we talk to a younger person regarding retirement planning, I've got all the time in the world. So, they're getting them to do something early sometimes is a challenge, unless they've been instructed well by their parents, their employer, or whatever. So the retirement crisis that exists, that then when you get into the healthcare space, and now all of a sudden, as some of the previous speakers have mentioned, cost becomes a problem because there isn't enough income. And one of the priorities that people have is they don't want to have too much month left at the end of the money. And that's what we have to be concerned about. But, here again, the longer you save, the less amount you have to save at a period of time to get to the same goal. The longer you put it off, the harder it is to get there. It's like working out. Working out is hard to get started, but, you feel better when it's done. And if it can become a habit, you're better for it. But the key thing is to know the customer, ask enough questions. I'm a person who asks all the questions in the world because you don't know what's going to happen. When I was born, the doctors told my mother she wouldn't live to see me grown. We buried her at age 97. I laughed and said, well, I hadn't grown up. That's what was keeping her alive. But, here again, we don't know what the issues are. I have another client who missed the Olympic trials by a quarter of a second. So he was in good health, right? Everything's going to last forever. He was feeling a little run down, went to the doctor, found out he had lymphoma, cancer of the lymph glands. They gave him 5 years. He made it 2. He had young children. Had he prepared properly? Yes, we had done everything according. He was going to do more. Everybody is always going to do more after the fact. But, the old definition of luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So our key thing is we have to know the customer. We have to know what's important to them, what they care about. And if we ask enough questions, the client will always tell us exactly where they are, where they want to go, and what's important to them.
So, Dennis, for your, as a carrier, you kind of have 2 clients. You've got the people who are going to buy a policy, but you have agents, advisors. So you've got to serve 2 constituencies. Other than products, what are some of the things that you're bringing to the table to make those constituencies happy?
Yeah, so I'll reframe some of your words a little bit. People don't buy our products in the sense they're educated and they're sold in a sense, right? Just being consistent with my prior comments. I think, again, I've been doing this business 34 years. I've been a home office guy. No one's ever knocked on the door and said, can I buy a long-term care from you? It's never happened. And we're not waiting for it. But so I think there's a lot of talk about technology and how that's going to enable the business. And I would just say a big focus for us is how do we take advantage of technology and use that really to enable all of you and folks like you in the marketplace who are helping reach the people every day. Because our strategy is quite simple. Like, we grow if we help you grow. And that's really important. And we're focusing probably in a couple different ways. One is at the moments of truth. So what are the most important moments of truth? One is when you to buy it, because people don't do this on their own. So how do we help you reach more people, have those conversations? So that's a focus for us. We do that through, we have people who can help you educate and understand the marketplace, the products and the solutions that are available. So educate yourself, your clients along the way, and then help you have the conversation. I like to say sometimes it's learning how to mind your book without undermining your book, if that makes sense, because a lot of people don't want to have this conversation. So how do you open it up? And to John's point, and I can confirm John likes to ask a lot of questions. I've known him for quite a while. Good questions though, John. But how do you have that conversation with your clients and open that up? So that's a big focus for us at that initial point. And then also, once you get to that point, once the client is educated, and usually at that point, they're ready to buy because they know they need it and they've seen the need. How do you make it as easy and quick as possible, and the less invasive, the better? Again, so on the life and long-term care side, underwriting has always been a challenge in some of those opportunities, but there's new technology and data, all the things you've heard about that are helping out on the healthcare side. We're a huge beneficiary of that on the underwriting side for long-term care and life insurance as well. So all those things are going down to just being easy to do business with. And again, in 30 years, that saying hasn't changed, but how you do it keeps changing along the way. So that's the first part. And the second part I've already alluded to is when the client needs it, that's the second moment of truth. How does it perform? And how are you going to perform? Again, we're not going to be there, most of us, but how are you going to show up for the client in that moment? So we're looking at all the ways to automate intake and make that process easy, as simple as possible, and also adopt the tools that are emerging. I heard earlier about fall detection. That's great. My in-laws are 90 and 87. We just got them Apple Watches last week, so we know if they fall. They live in Canada, so I don't know what we're going to do about it, but we're going to know. So we'll get someone there. But there's more to it, right? How do you do fall prevention? How do you do preventive support equipment? And that's one of the reasons I mentioned the caregiver support, and we use a claims concierge approach that helps people understand the benefits in their policy that can help do prevention, not just care. Supportive equipment, things like that you can put in the house, in the home, to help people actually live healthier, longer, and using all those tools to get better outcomes. I like to say in this space, I want to play every dollar of claims I'm supposed to, not one more, not one less. And if I can help everyone get better outcomes for less dollars, we're all going to be aligned to that. So that, I think, is a huge part of just getting past the actuarial side and the claims stuff, and getting how you're actually doing it in the marketplace and how it's touching people. So again, at the end of the day, what we're doing is emotional and human, and we sometimes distill it into price and features and benefits. But I like to say, insurance is one of those things that when you buy it, you want the cheapest one, and you go to use it, you complain it's not good enough.
Right.
And you would never do that about a car or a power tool or an appliance, right? If you buy something cheap, you're going to get what you pay for. That applies here as well. So make sure you're thinking through and how you're doing that. So that's a huge focus for us, is delivering when people need it.
So, Dennis, you're the president of One America, the probably leading long-term care insurance carrier in the business today. John, you're one of the top wealth management experts in the country, been a leader of organizations like NAFA and FPA. And this audience might be wondering, what the hell are you guys doing here? This is a Medicare audience, and you're here, and really it's about the next question that I want to explore with both of you and drill down a little bit. And this comes out in the paper that you helped us put together, Financial Security 2030, and that's holistic planning. Why should the people at this meeting care about the things you're doing, and why should you care about them? And it's that approach to holistic planning. And let's spend a little time on that. John, how do you look at holistic approach to planning?
Well, the way I explain holistic financial planning is like a jigsaw puzzle. If you're going to put together a jigsaw puzzle, what's the most important part? Well, most people would say the corners or the border, right? No, it's the box. You need to see the big picture. If I know where the reds go and the greens go and the yellows go, I'll be more efficient and quicker and get the job done more effectively than even after you've got your border done. That's the way we view financial planning. So financial planning is find out, what do you care about? What's important to you? That's going to change over time. I remember when my wife and I first got married, we were laying down on the grass under this nice big maple tree looking up at the sky and said, you know, if we just made $50,000 a year, life would be a bed of roses. Everything would be wonderful. It wasn't many years after that I was paying more than that per month in office expense. So times change. And, you know, when you're planning for the future, you don't know what the future holds. My crystal ball is no better than anyone else's. But if we plan for a worst case scenario that is at least acceptable, no one's ever going to be disappointed. I've never had one person ever complain because they ended up with too much money. Some people have philanthropic goals and, you know, they want to make a difference. Retirement means something different to different people. Do you ask them, what does a retirement mean to you? Because to some people, I can now afford to do what I always wanted to do, but couldn't afford to do. I now can maybe do more charitable work. I can get involved in things that I really enjoy. I'm not just going to work for a paycheck. To some, it means travel. To some, it means everything. But it's amazing, you know, if you look in the workforce today, people ask me every day, when are you going to retire? Well, I do every day. It's called retired. That's tired again, right? And when we're thinking about retirement planning or financial planning, it's a little bit like climbing a mountain. You know, climbing a mountain can be a difficult task, but there are more people get injured coming down the mountain than going up. But you have to prepare what happens if going up the mountain something happens. As well as coming down the mountain in the distribution phase, we have to look at things altogether different than during the accumulation phase. Then it's no longer about rate of return necessary. It's about, am I keeping pace with inflation? Does my dollar go as far? You know, in 1950, a new Chevy Coupe was $750. Gas was 19 cents a gallon. The roads weren't as crowded as they are today. Who would ever thought when I bought my first office computer, it was an IBM XT with a 10 meg hard drive, 5¼ inch floppy disk, dot matrix printer. And one of my favorite quotes is from Bill Gates in 1974 that said, 30 meg is enough for anybody. Now the cell phones we carry around have more computing power than what sent the first man to the moon. So things are changing, and financial planning is a journey, it's not a destination. As changes occur, as priorities occur, and so on, we have to be flexible enough and plan ahead enough to keep pace with that. And we have to meet people where they are. So we have to, the old know your customer rule is real. And we talk to people, you know, prescription without proper diagnosis is malpractice in any field, including ours. So we have to properly diagnose what they care about, what's meaningful to them, and what they can afford to do, because sometimes they can't afford to do everything they'd really like to do. But a holy umbrella is still better than no umbrella at all. So that doesn't mean you shouldn't do anything. So we have to plan along those lines. And when we're working with our senior clients, it's critical to know the family, because that support system that exists and helping them to properly plan and prepare is a major thing as well, because during the accumulation phase, oftentimes people have to worry about, how do I pay for college education? If the parents have prepared well, maybe the parents or grandparents can help. But sometimes that isn't the case. And you know, when the baby's born, it's the most beautiful, smartest child that's ever been born. If you don't know that, ask the grandparents, they'll tell you. But by the same token, they don't always end up the same. So holistic financial planning, like I say, is looking at the big picture and then putting the puzzle pieces together one at a time to make sure that it works appropriately.
Yeah, to me, it just seems that for agents, they want to be working as and perceived by their clients as solution providers versus salespeople trying to sell a product.
Right.
you're going to build trust, you're going to grow your business as a trusted solution provider and expert versus trying to get you into the product of the week. And from that perspective, Dennis, how does long-term care fit into the toolbox of the people gathered at Medicarians? They're talking to people that are aging, who have a motivation that's both financial and health-based, and there's a connection happening, an opportunity to put more into their toolbox. Talk a little bit about that, your perspective of the holistic approach.
I think, so again, this is my first time here, but I've learned a lot today, and maybe I share a little bit back that you can learn or be curious about that can help you in your practice. I think we all know today, nobody has enough time. Time is expensive as it's ever been. And there's so many things to know. It's the information age or the misinformation age, or there's just an overwhelming amount of information. People cannot distill and dissect it. They need experts, they need expertise. And already talking to, I would just say in so many ways, the people you're talking to are the same people that I want to talk to or have this on their mind. And our research would say this is on many of your clients' minds. And you probably know it, they might even mention it. So how do we help each other know what to do about it? We have a saying in our business of it's all about seeing more people, right? But at some point you can't see more people. You got to figure out how do you leverage that and let other people be aware of, or for how to create a referral or a teaming approach or whatever it is to help your clients address what's on their mind in a way that helps you grow your practice and help your clients. We're all in that same boat. It's not a transactional product sale, but yet we all have areas of expertise where we're focused, and it quite fundamentally pays the bills, and maybe it pays it well enough. And so your motivation may not be high to go look outside, but your clients do have the needs, and there's opportunity. And I think it's hard to walk past that. So I just think it's simply sharing more, communicating more, people understand what the opportunities are, and sharing a bit of where we're at on the industry side, but also where I see the opportunity going forward. So, everyone's going to invest in technology. Everyone's going to do that. All these things are going to come forward, and in 5 years we'll be doing this a lot differently. But helping people navigate, having the knowledge and expertise, it isn't about the product, it's about the plan, and it's about the critical thinking that you apply and the questions you ask to help your clients have peace of mind. They're not doing, a lot of times we do this, I'm an actuary by background, so I can do the math. We can do all the calculus, but most people don't know math and don't care to try to learn it. So how do you understand what makes them feel better, how they live their life? They may not care if they have, they worry about having no money left. How much money left is, they're less worried about that than having no money and not being able to cover the basics day to day, whether that's a medical coverage or long-term care or whatever it is. So I think it's just continuing to educate and connect with each other on what the opportunities are that all of our clients face.
Yeah, a well-informed client is a client who can make well-informed decisions. And I think for everybody at Medicarians, they have an opportunity to grow their business by expanding their toolbox, by having more solutions that meet those needs of the client. And I'm seeing around this meeting new entries, new areas that are showing up, and realizing that there's opportunities to all be working together to achieve the same goals. And so as a takeaway, in our last 5 minutes of our session, what we'd like to do is at least give you something to think about, something tangible to take back to the office that you could implement next week. And for me, it's that. It's looking beyond just your core product and what else is available to support your clients and grow your business in that way. But John, what would be a takeaway? What's something that everybody could walk into their office on Monday and do that would have a meaningful impact for them?
I think the biggest thing that we can do is to know the products that we're selling, inside and out, to really understand them. When I talk to a client about long-term care, I never use that term. I use the term extended care, and I refer to it as dignity protection. Because at the end of the day, I have a son. Most of my clients have children. I say, are you close to your children? Most of them say yes. I said, how would you feel about your son or daughter changing your diaper? Feel that cold chill run up and down your back? That's not the way I want to be remembered. So real love is making sure the proper care is provided. It doesn't necessarily mean you're the one that's going to do it, Because again, I want my son to remember me as good as it can be, however that is. I don't want his last memory to me being changing my diaper or something along those lines. Not the way I want to be remembered. So know your customer, ask them more questions, because find out really what matters to them, what preparations that they have made. You know, many times we find out people don't have proper liability coverage, as an example. And there's only 2 times you can be sued: when you do something or when you don't. And what happens if you're on the wrong side of a lawsuit? All of a sudden, you could have been the best saver and investor in the world. It can all go up in smoke. So know your customer, go home, look at your book of business, look at your clients, get to know them better. Find out how much better you can serve them. That's the best advice I could give. And know your products inside and out, because no one company has the best of everything. I wish it was that easy, but it isn't. I mean, One America has some fantastic products, but there are certain situations that doesn't fit. But, you know, here again, that doesn't mean that a carrier is bad, because a situation is a little bit different for someone else. That's where you have to know your products and know your customer.
Dennis, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'd first echo John's, not the part of One America not having good products, but the rest of it I would echo really, really good. But I'll actually endorse John's comments completely. I think that's all fair. I just maybe would say this, and it just kind of consistent with my earlier comments. We're talking about long-term care. Everyone kind of knows the history and probably has some experience with the parents, rate increases, all those things. I would maybe suggest number one takeaway is the products that you can purchase today, I believe, are really products that you can believe in. While there's memory and scars can run deep sometimes, the products that are available for sale today, there's more flexibility, there's more coverage options, there's more guarantees available. I really think if you have that in your mind, try to set it aside and be curious enough to go and see what's really happening today in the product marketplace, because the demographic opportunity and need is so high. It's kind of unfortunate that we have this other resistance to going back into the marketplace. And the next thing I would just say, kind of to John's point, is understand enough and learn a little bit how to introduce the conversation. If it's not in your skill set or vernacular today, I don't know how you develop the sales skill or role playing, how you get in there, and find resources to help you with that. Because all the research says, and you probably already know this, you just got to read news articles, it's on people's minds. And so if you don't ask them about that, somebody else might. And it's the questions you don't ask sometimes that are going to hurt your practice more than the questions you do ask in the long run. So I would just say, be curious to learn about the products that are available. Think about how to have the conversation with your clients. And I would say, as early as next week, maybe think about having a conversation or asking a question from folks you think might have this need in your business and your communities that you serve.
Tangible, actionable advice. So as we conclude this today's panel session, this is the first of 3 financial security forum sessions that we're doing as we introduce the Financial Security Forum to Medicarians this year. At 10:45, if you want to continue this discussion about financial security 2030, 10:45 at the Summit 203 room, there'll be 2 more back-to-back breakout sessions with a variety of industry experts who will continue to have this discussion, explore other elements of where things are going over these next 5 years, drilling down into the Financial Security 2030 paper, which is available on the Medicarians website. You can download your copy of it. It is a paper that resourced almost 60 different expert research papers and experts across the industry to put together a cumulative, call it roadmap, to where things look like they could be going over the next 5 years. We invite you to get your copy of that. We invite you to continue spending time with us with the Financial Security Forum at Summit Room 203. I want to thank you both, gentlemen, so much for this opportunity to be with you on the stage today. I want to thank all of you for being at Medicarians and being at today's session. We look forward to, we'll all be here over the course of today. Look forward to continuing any discussions, connecting with any of you. Thank you all so very much.